Hello, today I'll be showcasing a data table system I created for our indie game, Cultist Astronaut. This will streamline the process and make it really easy to update stats across characters, projectiles, melee weapons, and in the future, much more. So inside our project, we actually have a new option under Tools, Data, and then here you'll see we have four options. We have a Data Tables, which will open up all three editors. And then of course we have them broken down here into three separate options in case you want to view them in isolation. I'm going to open up data tables since it shows everything. This opens a new window which is powered by Odin Inspector. Odin Inspector provided an easy framework to use for the menu tree, which you see here. And it also allowed us to create tables, which we'll see in a second. So on the side here, we can switch between health, projectiles, melee weapons, and for each window we have a save, which allows us to apply changes to those objects, and then of course a refresh. What refresh does is it pulls in all of the data from assets prefabs. So I have a hard-coded path to where our prefabs are located. Of course, this is something we could expose. But for our game, this is where we're sticking all of our characters, projectiles, and melee weapons. So as you can see, for the health objects, it created this table. There's 61 items in this table, so that means there is 61 prefabs in our project that have health components. And then you can see that it gives us the maximum health for each one, which is really nice. You can get a nice spread of the health in our game. And then we also have overall defense, which is a fairly new statistic, and you can see it's unused. So almost nobody has defense. Damage is processed normally, except for this character, which we just added recently, and she has her own defense mechanic. But this is something we could start, leveraging. Now that it's visible, we can see, oh, maybe this is something we need to work on. And then the damage table, which was probably the most difficult to render, is actually another table within a table. So, for example, let's go to a character that actually has some values. Nancy Nuke. You can see that she actually has a damage table, and maybe a better name is actually damage multipliers. And you can see we can actually add tags, which in this case it's explosive, and 0. So this means that when she takes explosive damage, we multiply it by 0. So basically she's immune to explosives. And if we take a look at the Valkyrie, we can see she has 3 different tags. Piercing is processed normally, plasma is half damage, and explosive is 50% more damage. Of course, we have the same thing for projectiles. So you can see here we have about 17 bullets in our game. You can see all the damage values. When you see a -1, it means that it doesn't have damage on touch. Still trying to think of a clever way to display this, but -1 essentially means like not only does this not do any damage, but it doesn't even have damage on touch. That's because grenades explode. And then we have speed. So you can see here, this is meters per second, how fast the bullet will travel. Again, some of these are 0, like the acid glob. The acid glob actually drips from the ceiling and uses rigid body forces. So this is not calculated in the same way as the other bullets. So again, trying to figure out a clever way to show that. You can see acceleration is unused, and for good reason, but this is something we could explore. And then finally we have lifetime, which is how long the bullet lasts. 0 means infinite. And then of course we have the melee weapons, which is displayed in a similar way. The only 2 things we care about here is the damage on touch and knockback force. And I think I need to add knockback force to the projectiles as well, because those do knock you back. So yeah, let's say I want to change something. Let's say like I want this acid glob to do 6 damage instead of 4. I can change it here, hit enter, and then save. And then if we take a look at our source control, which in my case I'm using fork, you can actually see it updated the prefab directly, and it changed the damage from 4 to 6. So you can see that this custom editor is applying changes to the prefab. And if I was to set this to 3 and then hit refresh, you'll see it reverts it back to 6. So it pulls that prefab in, grabs the information, and displays it here. So yeah, this is our new data table system for our indie game Cultist Astronaut. Please let me know if you'd like to see more. Have a great day.